Hi, I'm Julia Heaney. I'm the author of the stories on this channel. I just want to tell you a little bit about the process of putting my books into that robot narration. It's not quite as easy as you would think. I mean, they call it artificial intelligence, but it is not that intelligent. And so it takes a little longer than I'd like to get the books up there. Normally, to do an audiobook, it takes about 10 hours for each finished hour of audio. So if you've got a 10-hour long book, it took somebody 100 hours to put that book together. With the robot narration, I can usually do it in about 2 hours per finished hour. And, you know, obviously there's a difference in the quality there, but it's good enough to listen to if you're not looking for like a dramatic reading. And again, the whole purpose of putting these books up in the robot narration is to hopefully someday get the channel monetized so that we can afford to do them with real people. So what happens is I have to use a tool that's online, which means if the internet happens to go down or my internet happens to go down, I can't work that particular day. And so I copy a chapter out of the book, and if it's at the beginning of the book, there's a lot of modifications that have to be made. I've been making a list of the things that need to be fixed so I can do those before I even start the process. Things like Mr. and Mrs. If there's a period after Mr., the robot says, "Hello, Mr. Smith." And so I have to take the period out so he doesn't put that long pause in there. And so I use a find and replace to change all of those things. And then if there's any pronunciations that I don't like, I have to go in and do the same thing. So for example, the book I'm currently working on is my Colonial Explorers Corps Book 1, which is the Earth Concurrence. And the protagonist in that entire series is a young woman named Sidi Cassis. Her last name is spelled K-A-S-S-I-S, but the robot was pronouncing it Cassis. And there doesn't appear to be a way to tell the robot which syllable to put the emphasis on. And so I have to come up with a misspelling of the word that the robot will pronounce the way I want it to be. So it took me several iterations to find a spelling of Cassis that sounded pretty close to what I wanted to hear. I could have just let it go, but I knew it would drive me crazy to have 4 books where the narrator was saying the protagonist's last name wrong. So eventually I found 2 different spellings. The weird thing is the robot doesn't always spell or say things the same. I guess that's the intelligence part of the AI. So sometimes it'll say Cassis, and sometimes it'll say Cassis, and sometimes it'll say Cassis. It'll throw in some extra syllables, and so I have to go through and regenerate the audio for those portions when it messes it up. So I end up having to listen to the entire book all the way through. Usually, parts of it I have to do multiple times because I'll have to find a paragraph that has some mispronunciations and have to go regenerate that and listen to it again. If it's a word that's going to be used frequently in the book, I'll go back to my manuscript and I'll spell it differently and I'll do the whole find and replace thing again. So at least going forward, it should be easier. Occasionally, like I said, they'll throw in that extra syllable. The bad guys in this particular book are the Gagarians, and sometimes it'll say the Gagarians, which kind of cracks me up, but it's not what they're supposed to be. Once I get that all finished and I've listened to the whole thing and I like the way it sounds, then I have to export it. That takes a little bit of time, and then I have to import it into whatever I'm using to create the YouTube video. In my case, I'm using iMovie, so I have to import it into iMovie, create an image to go on the front, and then I have to render that, which takes time as well. So that's kind of the whole process, and then upload it to YouTube, which again takes more time. So that's why putting those complete books up takes a while to get them finished. Professionally narrated books, the Space Janitor books, those take a little less time because I don't have to obviously create the narrative or the narration. So for those, I just have to bring it into iMovie and render it and then upload it into YouTube. But I only have 7, I think, of those so far. So, you know, those won't take too long to get up there once I get them all done. So that's kind of a quick down and dirty look at the process of getting those books online and explanation of why it's taking so long to get some of them up there. I could just load them into the program and render it and throw it up, but I'm not happy with that result. I want the experience to be as enjoyable as possible for you, the reader, and I don't want to drive myself crazy with names that are pronounced completely wrong. So if you liked my stories and you want to hear more of them, please like and subscribe so that the YouTube overlords will reward me with showing my books to more people. Thanks very much for listening.